Good afternoon. As you all know, my name is John Adams. I am the District Attorney of Berks County. Standing with me today, Trooper Captain Thomas Tran from the Pennsylvania State Police, Lieutenant Scott Brennan of the Pennsylvania State Police, Trooper Boehm of the Pennsylvania State Police, Trooper Keck of the Pennsylvania State Police, Trooper Corporal John Sloboda of the Pennsylvania State Police, and Trooper Woomer of the Pennsylvania State Police, and also Meg McCollum, Assistant District Attorney, Berks County. This morning at approximately 9 a.m., members of the Pennsylvania State Police arrested Lisa Rochelle Snyder at her home located at 2442 Route 143, Kempton, Albany Township, which is located in Berks County. She has been charged with the following: 2 counts murder of the first degree, 2 counts murder of the third degree, 1 count endangering the welfare of children, 1 count endangering the welfare of a child for Connor Snyder, and 1 of those counts is for Brindley Snyder, 1 count tampering with evidence, 1 count sexual intercourse with an animal, and 1 count cruelty to animals. The incident that led to these charges took place on September 23rd, 2019, when a 911 call was received at approximately 4:30 p.m. at the Berks County Communications Center. The report indicated that 2 juveniles were found hanging and unresponsive in the basement by their mother, the defendant, Lisa Snyder. After discovering the children and calling 911, the mother never returned to the basement. Initial responders from the Kempton Fire Company arrived on scene at approximately 11 minutes later. They observed hanging from a single wired cable dog lead with a vinyl coating with ends that contained a swivel eye snap hook. The wire was wrapped around the main support beam of the basement, and each end of the wire was wrapped around the victims' necks. In the area of the victims were 2 wooden bar height dining room chairs knocked down on their sides. Both victims were in full cardiac arrest and were resuscitated. However, they were pronounced deceased 3 days later on September 26th, 2019. These victims were Connor Snyder, age 8, and Brindley Snyder, age 4. Immediately after EMS responds to this incident, the Pennsylvania State Police also responded. They immediately obtained a search warrant to search the residence, and the initial search warrant found a number of things, including the vinyl wire tie out dog cable, which was labeled super and 250 pounds. This dog lead cable had been ordered by the defendant the day before, on September 22nd, 2019, and Lisa Snyder picked up this dog cable on September 23rd at 9:30 a.m. from the Walmart in Hamburg. Also seized was a cellular telephone from which the 911 call was made, 2 Apple iPads and a laptop. In total, 5 cellular devices were seized. There was 1 device that was not found during this search and has not been located to date, and that is a Samsung Galaxy Note. We believe that this was the phone that was used to place the order for the dog cable. The defendant said that that phone was lost the day of the incident. To date, it has not been recovered. The defendant was interviewed twice by the Pennsylvania State Police. During those interviews, the defendant said that Connor was bullied and wanted to die. Connor hated school, and Connor was scared to go by himself, and that is why he had Brindley with him. As you will recall, Connor was only 8 years of age. Pennsylvania State Police gathered video from the bus, the school bus, which brought Connor home on September 23, 2019. The video showed no signs that Connor was in any distress whatsoever. In fact, from the video, he appeared to be a happy child. In this investigation, needless to say, numerous witnesses were interviewed. We were able to find out that another individual also lived in the household, and that witness was interviewed, and he told police that Connor never mentioned being bullied at school. This witness asked Connor this question directly because his mother said he was being bullied. Other witnesses also told police that Connor was not bullied at school and never complained about it. School officials and family members were interviewed and indicated that Connor never expressed that he was bullied or suicidal. The only person that ever indicated that someone was bullied, that being Connor, was the defendant. The defendant told a witness that she is depressed and doesn't care anymore about her kids. The defendant also told police that Connor wanted to go downstairs in the basement to play fort. The defendant told the police that the kids play downstairs all the time. The defendant told police that afternoon, after he arrived home from school, that Connor took 2 chairs downstairs and the dog lead that was purchased that day. She said that Connor asked Brindley to also go downstairs. However, during the interviews conducted by the Pennsylvania State Police, another witness that lived in the defendant's home told police the victims do not normally play in the basement. As a matter of fact, hardly ever. The only time that the kids normally play in the basement, the only time that they ever played in the basement was on one other occasion when they got scooters for Christmas. And we were also told by this other individual who lived in that same household that they usually play fort in the living room with couch chairs and cushions. And in this case, the mother told the police that they went downstairs to play fort. Among the many people that were interviewed during this investigation included an occupational therapist who was employed through the Kutztown School District. This occupational therapist told us that it would be extremely difficult for Connor to operate the clasp on the dog leash or to manage to wrap the dog leash around the beam due to his poor dexterity. In essence, Connor had some disabilities which prevented him from, for example, tying his shoes. Also, during this case, and I think most importantly, is that phones, other devices were seized, and they were forensically examined at the Pennsylvania State Police Central Computer Crime Unit. Search warrants were obtained for Google records and the defendant's Facebook Messenger account. Those Facebook records indicate photos and conversations regarding sexually explicit messages about the dog performing sexual acts on the defendant. Google records indicated the following searches were located on the defendant's account for the following. In September 17, 2019, carbon monoxide in a car, how long to die. September 20th, almost got away with it, best episodes. September 22nd, hanging yourself. September 22nd, visited the website Short Drop, Simple Suspension, Lost All Hope. Based on a review of this website, the narrative prescribes an effective way of hanging a person using a short drop, simple suspension. Also on September 23rd, does a hybrid car produce carbon monoxide? The autopsies, which were performed by Dr. Michael Johnson, determined the cause of death for both children was hanging. The Lehigh County coroner has ruled these deaths as homicide. This is a horrific, tragic incident that has received a lot of attention in our community, and we are very saddened by this incident that took place in Albany Township. Based on the very thorough investigation by the Pennsylvania State Police and my office, these charges were filed today at Magisterial District Justice Bagenstos' office in Hamburg. 2 children's lives were lost here. This was a very emotional investigation for all of those involved. And I want to take this opportunity to applaud the professionalism and hard work of our first responders to this incident, the Kempton Fire Department, the Pennsylvania State Police, and I also want to thank the Kutztown School District for their cooperation in this investigation. This investigation, we will continue to search for the Samsung Galaxy Note and any other evidence that we can obtain, but we are pleased that today that we have filed these charges charging first-degree murder and other charges against Lisa Snyder. And again, I want to thank the efforts of the Pennsylvania State Police and their relentless effort to obtain the truth of what took place here.
Do you know why she wanted to kill the kids?
Well, she had expressed to a friend that she was had enough, and you know, I don't know that there is any explanation for her behavior at all. I don't think that I can stand up here, nor can anyone explain the horrific loss of 2 innocent children's lives. I think it goes without explanation.
So, Johnny, it's your contention that there was no evidence of bullying?
Excuse me?
There was no evidence of bullying at all? No evidence, or was there a little bit of evidence? There was no evidence of bullying?
No, there was no evidence of bullying that we have found. We have spoken to numerous school officials, to some fellow classmates, to family members, and there was no evidence of bullying whatsoever that we were able to obtain.
Has she undergone a mental health evaluation?
She has had some, I'm not aware of any prior mental health issues. There was some prior involvement with children and youth services in our county. However, and the children had been removed from her care in 2014. They were returned to her care in February of 2015. And CYS had been involved with this family until November of 2015.
And it's true that Connor suffered from developmental issues?
Excuse me?
It's true that Connor Snyder did in fact suffer from disabilities?
I think his disability was mainly a physical disability, like being able to tie a shoe, had some issues with his dexterity.
So
And
cognitive, just physical?
yeah, I don't think there was any cognitive issues that I'm aware of, but But there were some, as it was described by the occupational therapist, he would probably most likely be unable to open the clasp of the dog lead that was found in the residence.
Is Mrs. Snyder being offered bail at all?
No, this is a first-degree murder case in Pennsylvania. He will not be permitted, she will not be permitted to post bail.
How did she get her 150-pound son, that she claimed is 150 pounds, and a 40-year-old, 40-pound girl to stay on the benches, put cords around their neck, and did she drug them in some way? How did she get them to stand there?
Well, that's a question that we have is unanswered at this point, and our investigation further, we would be speculating, and I'm not in the business of speculating at this point.
Nothing in their bloodstream? Anything in their bloodstreams that when they did the autopsy?
No, the autopsy results do not indicate any drugs.
Is Lisa Snyder maintaining her innocence, or she confessed?
I think that Lisa Snyder has maintained that these children committed suicide.
Has Children and Youth Services been back since the children were returned at all?
I do not know. I think all that I can tell you today is that the case was closed in 2015.
Can you elaborate on why they intervened?
I cannot. That may be at a later date, but at this point I could not elaborate on
How
that.
many people live in that house?
4.
So there was another adult,
There was another son,
and how old?
17.
Is he your other witness in this who's told, is he the person who tells you that the kids never played in the basement except for the time when we had the...
I'll let you deduce that from the affidavit of probable cause.
Who's the fifth person? Is it
There's not a 5th person.
What's four people?
Yes.
Have you guys identified the guy that she was sending photos to on Facebook Messenger? And is he?
I believe that we have. We are not releasing that information.
Is this investigation open? Any more arrests?
There will not be any more arrests. It's always an open investigation.
When interviewing her other children, did they say that she abused them when they were younger as well?
That is not part of our. That is not part of this case whatsoever.
Right.
And I'm not aware of any. I'm not aware of any previous allegations.
Did you find the dog? She said she sent the dog away.
Yes, I believe that the dog was sent away.
And did you ever find her?
We did locate the dog. Yes.
Okay, but
However, we were unable to speak to the dog.
right.
It's fair to refer to the cable used for the hanging as a dog leash,
Yes, it was I don't think I would term it a dog leash. A runner, like a dog runner. Yeah, no, not.
It's something you put in your yard. It's like 30 feet long.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
So a dog restraint, the cable, a restraint. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, I think it's some. I agree. It's some sort of restraint where the dog would be. It's like considered a dog lead. That you would utilize this to tie the dog onto the dog lead.
So she orders it from Walmart the day before the alleged killing.
And picks it up that morning.
And picks it up the morning that she's alleged to have used it, and puts it in play that evening.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that it seemed to catch your eye almost from the top, that she calls you, says that the two kids are still hanging 3 feet apart, but never goes back down after seeing them that one time?
That's correct.
And what about that? I mean, when you realized that had happened, what were the thoughts there? Did you think there's something wrong here? How does this happen? How does the mother not go back down? How does she not get them off the hook?
Well, I would agree that we all may think that a mother whose children are found hanging would make every effort possible to save them. That was not done in this situation.
Judge, just on a personal level, when you talk about cases like this, it must be difficult for you and for the investigators. But I couldn't imagine what it was like the first day showing up there.
I can't tell you enough that I think that this was a very emotional investigation for those individuals who are standing up here with me, and I give them all the credit in the world. This is not a simple situation. This was a very difficult investigation. Any time that any of us have to investigate, prosecute cases that involved the abuse or death of an innocent child, it all hits us in the heart. And it is very emotional for all of us. And this case, again, has brought, I think, brought all of us to appreciate the quality of life and the value of human life, and to have two children taken at such a young age, and what appears to be two very innocent children. It's just not right, and it's not fair.
John, were these children her natural children, or were any of them adopted?
They were her natural children.
And the father?
The father has not been in the picture.
Oh.
That's correct.
Is there any reason why you can't comment on the CYS?
Yes, I don't think at this point that we are in a position that we would comment further on CYS's involvement whatsoever.
Including the original reason why the...
Yes, exactly. Yes, we would not comment on that at this point.
Have you asked them to take another look at how they handled this case, considering they took the children, put them back, and the mother later murdered them?
Well, again, I mean, this is not the first case that we have looked at, but, to date, we have found, we will continue to look at that, but the court was involved. There are many players involved here, and I'm not here to comment one way or the other on what CYS did or did not do, because quite frankly, as far as we can tell from the evidence that we have reviewed, they made what appeared to be the proper decisions at the time, but I don't think we can ever, and if we could anticipate that this would ever happen, those children would have never been returned. But that is asking for something that is impossible.
John, the kids that they went to the hospital, they died 3 days later. Were they on life support when they were at the hospital?
Yes, they were.
So they were taken off life support?
Correct.
Who made that decision to take them off life support?
I don't know.
Would that be the mother? Would she?
I really don't know that.
Was the grand jury using this, or is it just...
No.
What was her reaction today when you guys slapped her? Did she resist, or is it with a...
But I'm told that there was little to no emotion whatsoever.
I believe.
Okay, we have a photograph of her there, and we also have a photograph of her residence. I'm sure that most of you who have been involved with this investigation have previously have seen her residence.
Did she change her appearance or responses during the investigation at all from day one?
I think that there was some of that. I think, yes, I do believe that there was some. She was only interviewed twice. We were unable to interview her again. And both of those interviews took took place early in the investigation.
She refused to talk to you a third time or a fourth time?
Yes, that's correct.
She hired a legal counsel?
Yes.
You say who?
Well, at this time, she's represented by Dennis Charles, an attorney out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. That's what we've been notified. We've been notified of that.
The dog lead, I believe in the court paperwork, it said the weight limit was somewhere around 250 pounds.
Correct.
Were you able to weigh the dog? Was it anywhere near that?
There was efforts made to weigh the dog. I'm not sure what the results of that. 50 pounds, 50 pounds.
Okay, so that was unnecessarily, would you say that was unnecessarily
Correct.
the wrong accessory for that kind of dog?
Yes. It was a 50-pound dog, and the weight limit was 250
And
pounds.
you don't think she just mistakenly bought that?
No, I do not.
specific Facebook page about these two children and continued to make an argument on Facebook that this was sad suicide, remembering them? Was that going on here?
I know that we have, that she was constantly on Facebook. The evidence that we have obtained and that was presented as part of the affidavit of probable cause was obtained from Facebook Messenger. And I am not an expert in Facebook, by the way, but she has, I think, maintained correspondence on Facebook. Am I correct? Yeah.
Can you comment on some of the things, the child items she was selling on Facebook Marketplace the day after or the day of?
I'm not aware
She
of.
was selling like her kids like a little kiddie pool, and she was selling some toys online 24 hours after.
Oh, I'm not aware of that. We're not aware of that information. I mean, we may be aware, but we're not commenting on that information as we speak.
What about the person she was messaging on Facebook about the photographs she took with?
We are aware of his identity, but we are not releasing that information.
Has he cooperated with the investigation?
I couldn't comment on that.
What she told the 911 dispatcher, did that draw questions with you folks almost immediately?
Well, I believe that it would be safe to say that we immediately had questions. I think that I will say this once. 8-year-olds generally, that I am aware, do not commit suicide. So, of course, we had questions.
Is there a tie at all between the explicit photos sent over Messenger and the crime? Because if I'm remembering correctly, the date of the photos, the dates they were sent, I believe it was the same month as
I think that I would be, during our investigation, these photos were uncovered, which gave us the probable cause to file those charges. They were all filed in one affidavit. Are they connected? I couldn't speak to that. But during the thorough investigation conducted by the Pennsylvania State Police, that those photos were found and they were appropriate for criminal charges and they were charged.
How important is that missing device to you in your investigation?
Well, we've uncovered everything, but would we like to find a device? Absolutely. Yes.
Have you ever seen a defendant accused of a homicide Google the name of a television show that has to deal with people who got arrested for murder? Do you recall at any time in your career something like that?
I'm not aware of that in any case that I have personally been involved in. I'm certain that it's happened before, but I am personally not aware of that in any case that I have seen to date. And I've been around the criminal justice system for a long, long time.
So would you say that's a, bold thing to do? I mean, what does that tell you about her?
Well, I don't, she is presumed innocent until proven guilty. And we will honor that if she so desires. And we will have a jury of her peers decide whether or not we have sufficient evidence to prove that she is guilty. But, that's our job. We believe today we have gathered sufficient probable cause and to charge her and sufficient evidence to have her found guilty. But again, that is for the jury to decide.
It's difficult to fathom moms doing this. During
Absolutely.
the investigation, have you found any signs of drug or alcohol abuse or anything like that that she may
I couldn't comment on that. There's been, not that I'm aware.
Is there any reason why the charges were filed today? Was there a fear that she might be trying to flee the area, or is there just why?
I think that today, was an active investigation, remains an active investigation. We were putting all the evidence together. We finally, late on Wednesday afternoon, received the final autopsy results, and therefore made a decision that today was the day the charges would be filed.
Was there any evidence that the children put up a struggle? I mean, was there anything you could?
I couldn't comment on that at this point.
Was there any evidence that the children were injured prior to the hanging?
Again, I couldn't comment on that, and, yeah.
John, the owner's son, is he still a minor? And if so, where is he now? Is he still staying at the house?
Well, we are aware of his location. We are not releasing that.
Is he still a minor at this point?
Yes.
Is he going to testify against his mother?
I couldn't comment on that at this point.
Will you be seeking the death penalty?
That's a good question. We have made no determination to date as to whether or not the death penalty will be sought. Clearly, we believe that there are a number of aggravating factors that are present, and we will be making a decision in the future as to whether or not this will be a capital case prosecution.
The person with the Facebook pictures, is that person local or?
I couldn't comment on that.
When is the first court date? I know they have something set up for Monday.
Uh,
They said it might not happen.
Well, at this point, we have not finalized the date for a preliminary hearing. We will be making a determination of that date I hope in the very near future, depending on the availability of defense counsel, who apparently has informed us that he is not available immediately. So a preliminary hearing will be set, though, I'm certain, soon. But I don't know the date as we speak.
Not today, we won't set it today.
No, it was not sent today. Correct. Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody else want anything to say? Yeah, no.
I was trying to pass along.
Put this on the rest. Hey, Steve. Nice to meet you.
We talked a bunch over the phone. I just thought-
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know the name of the father in person. I don't. Father? I don't know. I don't know where. Father.
I don't know where to go.
Isn't it illegal